Howdy.
Hello.
Good seeing ya. We get our Wednesday afternoon date for a minute. We can step away from all the other busyness and sit and chat for a few. So that's awesome.
And this is our first one back from New Year, so happy 2025. It's a good year to be alive.
Think it's gonna be a good one.
Hmm.
Feeling it.
I am feeling it.
What makes you so optimistic?
Mm, I just feel it. Um, oh, I can't even explain it. I feel
Just
it.
a feel.
It's a feeling.
It's like
I
feelings.
feel like we've all gone through a lot. 2024 was rich and thick, and there's been breakthroughs and like just an expansion of, I'm going to say, possibilities, but just an awareness of, I don't know, God is good. Life, being alive is really amazing,
Yeah.
and it's ours to grab.
Yeah, it's easy to look around and find things to not be optimistic about, but
Oh yeah.
it's also easy to find things to be optimistic. It's really, I think, a choice that we have to make probably daily and even more frequently than daily, probably hourly at a
Yeah, it's
minimum.
like a
Yeah.
muscle for our nervous system, or a muscle for our spirit, or our muscle for our intention. Like people talk about gratitude, but
Nice.
like honoring the good.
Yeah, I do think, yeah, the more you focus on something, the more it becomes just part of what is your reality and what
Hmm.
you continue to focus on. It gets easier. Yeah, if you sit and wallow and focus on all the negatives, you're just going to become more bitter and more resentful and angered. And the opposite is definitely the same truth. So, yeah, it is. I don't know. It's a challenge for sure at times, but I do think it's awesome that when you see people who are just on fire for life or for God
Hmm.
or for whatever, it's like it's just inspiring to see other people that
Hmm.
are in that vein. And so I think that's how we want to practice to live our lives always too.
Well, and I think so. We're talking about resistance today. We're talking about resistance, and partly because I do believe that um, there's unfortunate realities. This earth is a hard place. If you watch even like a seed going through the process of breaking through, rooting and breaking through its little tendril and then getting and bursting through, like there is struggle, just part of inherent in life. Um, but then it also seems like there's just like wickedness that takes the struggle up a bit and makes, the crazy. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is life isn't life, there's struggle in life, and here we are. It's like our soul's experience to learn something, to do something. There's some purpose to this thing called life. And I feel like that's a Prince lyric. But and so when
Dearly beloved.
exactly anyhow, and sure, we can stay back and just kind of like pacify ourselves and coast. But that starts to create situations where people get into mental anguish. Their bodies are not meant to sit still and do nothing all day. We start to accrue aches and pains and arthritis and this kind of thing. Um, we and our minds aren't, I don't believe, supposed to just be idle. And that's some of the um, challenge in our modern device. All of these wonderful devices that we can just get distracted, but at the same time we're like sitting there offline of our life, and there's this piece of the modern world of like blending, like what we can do, like the fact that I can't even we can record a webinar at home is amazing. So there's so much opportunity,
Sure.
but there's also then some awareness that we need to wrap around this. We have these new tools, and I'm kind of, we see how this stuff blossoms as we go into the future. But um, why we wanted to come together today is to discuss how to, when I say resist, like how to take as best care of yourself to make 2025 everything that you imagine in your dreams, everything you want. I mean, our bodies know how to heal. And that's a really simple aha, but my goodness, it's real. And so then when people embark in healing, and I feel like a lot of people have started to go, wait a minute, and kind of question some of the, we've always done it this way and we've always done it this way. As an entire society over the last couple of years, we've normalized using experimental things in order to save and help our health. But now that like opens up the concept in people's minds of like, well, wait a minute. I just want to be healthy, when I think we all get a little PTSD when you hear about the headlines, different, there's virus watch and seeing masks show up. And I'm like, oh, let's get back to the conversation of how do we make ourselves healthy and guard that. And then just kind of trust it all works out. But really hold on and guard. This week I saw on Substack, it was a quick post, but I was like, that is profound and true. And the thread was going along the lines of, I don't know, it was going, something referencing world public health policies. And this one post said, hey, let's just bring it back to us. Humans, to guard our well being, it's three things: it's toxins, it's trauma, it's nutrient deficiencies. And they put EMFs under trauma because, yeah, I was kind of like, oh, really? Trauma, not toxins. But I mean, it is kind of an pervasive, ongoing, can't away from it. Like we're getting hit over and over, but we can't see it, taste it, smell it. And then toxins, they put parasites under toxins. But it's like these simple, like, oh, something's not right in my body. Am I missing something? Is there an old trauma that needs to be healed, worked out? Or toxic exposure? And the reality is we all have lots of layers of all of this. But you start somewhere. It's kind of like cleaning out New Year's project, cleaning out your basement. You start somewhere and you just go. The beautiful thing is that our bodies usually tell us, give us little breadcrumbs of like, oh, this needs attention or this needs attention. You can always start with what hurts.
Yeah.
That sometimes slaps us in the face, whether we like to hear it or not.
I don't like simplifying the body into just like a machine, but I do think that there is some component of like there's like these wheels that are turning in us, these cogs, and if one gets out of rhythm, it starts ticking, all the other ones start falling out of rhythm as well. And so if you can improve, oil the one place that's squeaking, or even not that one place, oil a different part of the system, things can start to line up a little better, turn a little easier. And get us, just moving in the right direction. So I do think sometimes we overcomplicate the body, and sometimes we oversimplify the body, because it's both. It's both remarkably complicated and amazing, but it's also in some ways very, comes down to pretty some simple principles that, when we get off in one little area, then disease is going to follow. And there's like so many millions of different ways the body can go wrong, but really there's probably only a few different causes at the real causative level of what's triggering that misalignment in the first place that's going there. So,
and there's maybe a couple misalignments, but as you clear them, you start to eliminate. I mean, when someone's vitality starts to come back to them, there is no better. It's cool to witness. It's cool to see. It's cool to feel. It's just, it's great. Our bodies are actually these miraculous beings that we're thankful to have. And every day we wake up, it's like, oh, thank you. I get to do this again. Now, sometimes, alarm doesn't go off, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, oh, there's the cat.
Modern living's got some insults coming at us pretty regularly. So, yeah, we've got the cat that pokes you in the face at 5 a.m. to get up, gets you moving, which I guess is maybe
that
a
is
little
the most gentle modern insult we have, if you really think about it. If you look at like the air we're breathing and the water we're drinking and the food we're eating and all of it. So how, if you were to suggest like, I'm going to decide bunny trail. Over winter break, I cleaned out the basement. It was exciting. I was excited. I think I'm the only one that's this excited about it. But the reason I was so excited, it's been on my like in the periphery of my mind for almost a year. And it's like, okay, I'll get to that. Okay, I'll get to that. And then eventually it's like, no, I said I would. And so why now I'm enjoying the good feeling of just walking through the basement. But the whole reason why I think the basement actually got cleaned is because I gave myself a deadline.
Yeah.
I actually said, no, no, by the time we go back to school, Monday, January 6th, that will be clean. So I may have been doing the last bits of it on Sunday, the 5th, but it happened. And it would have never happened had I not gotten ticked off enough. Maybe I don't even have to get ticked off about it to give myself a deadline about it.
Yeah.
How many times in medicine there's deadlines to things that we ignore? Like, oh, you're supposed to get that when you're 50, or oh, you're supposed to get that when you're 45, or oh, you're supposed, like, okay, but I don't want to. I don't want to. Well, I think the new year is a really amazing time to stand back and be like, what did I not do? Should I schedule some things? And it seems like the process, the stopping point for people is sometimes just getting it on the calendar and going.
Mm.
It goes from like, oh, yeah, 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 I'm supposed to do that. Oh, yeah, 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 I'm supposed to do that. And I mean, I have very mixed feelings about our modern mainstream medical care system. And they're not even all that mixed. I know what they are. But at the same time, like early detection is a good thing. So if you've missed some early detection stuff, jump on that colonoscopy, jump on the, screening and the blood work. But whatever comes back, it's just information. You don't have to take what they give you and then put it right into their box. I think every step of the point, you have to kind of check in with yourself and be like, okay,
Mm.
what's going on here? What does my body need? Does that sound too Pollyanna to you? Do I
Maybe.
take it for granted that I'm a doctor?
Maybe. But I do think it's, I think, I mean, everyone needs to find the path that's right for their body. And so I think having a doctor on your team
Mm-hmm.
is important. I don't think very few of us can ever do it on our own. There's an old expression, even for doctors, if you try to treat yourself, it says the doctor who treats himself has a fool for a patient or something. So I think even those who have medical backgrounds need someone else to kind of be a third party independent observer to kind of
Mm-hmm.
look at you a little bit and be like, maybe have you thought about it this way? I mean, sometimes just even that little perspective that you're not even looking at, can be what's needed. And I think we have such a glut of information these days. You can Google anything, you can find anything online, but sometimes that can lead people down really weird paths and they come to you convinced they have some rare disease, which they clearly did not, or they think those symptoms are just nothing to worry about when they maybe are. So I do think having someone else, kind of spend some time with you, go, wait, what's going on here? And then maybe you go through your options like, hey, you are due for a mammogram, you are due for a pap smear, there's some other options out there now, if, for
Mm-hmm.
some of those breast screenings and colonoscopy screenings and things that aren't necessarily the old ways.
Yeah, I
So,
do want to give a little airspace to thermograms. Like thermograms for
right.
breast health are amazing. They really are. Yeah.
Yeah, I was driving the kids to school. I was behind a mobile thermogram
Oh,
car
wonderful.
driving around town. So
Yeah.
they come out to you now, apparently. So,
Excellent.
but yeah, so I think, I mean, I think there's always different options too. You don't
Mm-hmm.
have to sit. There's not one size that fits all for everybody. But I do think that is important to do some of these important screenings. I checked that colonoscopy box off this year for the first time, and it wasn't that bad. I mean, the drinking the weird solution is about the worst part of it, but the actual experience the day of isn't bad at all. So
Was nervous for you.
I know
I
you
was.
don't like.
I don't like any of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But now they said I'm good for 10 years, so I feel like that was a win. So I don't
Well,
have to
la
worry about
da
it.
vida.
So
Good.
no hint, hint over here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's on my list.
So, um, so where if someone's coming to you, straight up the door, where would you start?
Well,
Or
you
do you want to
said
go back?
so. Yeah, I want to go back to. Okay, you said it's nice to sit and like kind of have a third party to bounce it off of. But what about when the paradigms are so like I have a hard time sitting. I mean, I understand that practitioners are trained to do good medicine, But sometimes the practitioners have not been trained to do good medicine. Sometimes they're more like, I know the model, you need to do this, then you need to do this, you need to do this. Well, I'm one of those pains for mainstream practitioners. I don't want any of that. And I'll do the early screening, but like, I don't think if my cholesterol were to be high, I don't think it's a statin deficiency.
Sure.
And if I'm having a fever, I really don't think it's an ibuprofen deficiency. And if my body is having aches and pains, I don't think I need whatever the drug du jour is going to be. I really believe that my body was created and it has this brilliant spark, and my mind can be I can be an idiot, but as I'm learning to kind of, I don't know, take best care of me, sometimes it's like we draw closer to our creator as you're walking through a healing journey. There's never like a one boom, it's done. And so I think that I see medicine as, it's like, if you're going to oversimplify it, if we're going to the mechanics, I don't want someone to call me a Toyota when I'm really whatever. Like the atheistic side of medicine, or like you just need to check these boxes and I don't know and try this pill and try this pill. The origins of the AMA back, in the 1920s, early 1930s, the whole Flexner report. It's like you have some deliberate. I mean, it was a great marketing strategy, but the actual truths of how our body heal have been, the information of how to help our bodies truly heal, I really think has been misguided. And
Mm.
so I think, we have a system that is called healthcare, except it's more like profit care, and I feel like this is beating the dead horse, but like when it actually comes to me, I don't want all that stuff. I'll take some of the stuff if it matters, if I know why for a period of time as a goal. Like, I'm not anti band-aids, my God. But at the other side of it, like, don't just put me on pills and walk away. I saw my primary care a little over 2 years ago, and I am going to see her soon. But anyways, and she wanted me to try 4 different medications day of meeting me once, and I'm like, whoa, absolutely not. Like, I will try one, and then tell you feedback on that, and this is like strong stuff. No, I'm like, actually, maybe we need to learn how to manage our stress. And funny, I
Yeah.
added a little progesterone, and for women, hormones can be a big deal. And then like 3 of the 4 things all popped away, and I'm like, how
Yeah, she
are
like
we
what she like
missing?
you mentioned like just you had a little stress and she's like, here, let's have some Valiums. And you're
It was
like,
like anti-anxiety, sleep, antidepressant, and ADHD focused stimulant stuff all on the same day. And primary care physician, no extra training in like psychiatric,
yeah, that
you
sounds a
know.
little
And
aggressive.
granted, she's a working mom in medicine. I'm a working mom in medicine. She went, "Oh, girl, I got you. Here, you gotta try this, and you gotta try this." She was trying to give me her like quick cliff notes. Like, I,
Mm.
I know what you need, because I think she sees a lot of herself in me and blah, blah, blah. But no,
Yeah,
like, we're posing people.
yeah,
No,
right.
like,
And
maybe.
starting more than really a couple medicines at a time, like you're not gonna know what did what. Like I think that's a little aggressive.
Well, and they only got so bold as to try the one medicine back and forth and back, and then I couldn't deal with all the side effects. I could
Yeah,
not. And
no,
medicine doesn't always agree with everyone. Some people's genetics, they seem to be fine. They do well, very, very
yeah.
well. They're like, no, no side effects, I'm fine. Other people will take a partial of a dose and be like, wow, I felt weird for 3 days or
And I think
whatever.
that's a lot of our clients because they're searching us out partly because of that. They're like, wait, I have not responded well to conventional medical interventions.
Well,
Like,
and
I need an alternative.
allergies. Yeah, people are popping with so many allergies. You need to create your own path, because it's like, oh, I can't take that, and I can't take that, and I can't
Hmm.
take that. What do you got for me? And I'm like, well,
Hmm.
let's start with creating your own personalized thing. You don't
Yeah.
fit in a
Like
box.
sometimes it's like as simple, like, oh, you can't even handle like a B complex. Like that's too aggressive for you. Like you need just some nutritional yeast or something, that
Hmm.
some
The
natural
system is
food,
so
pressed
toxic.
foods that are just rich in nutrients to like intervene like on the most gentle possible
Hmm.
level.
And some genes don't use B vitamins the same. They're
Yeah.
very different. But Well, and I think there's a big thing to be said. I had a client bring up in the office that her mainstream doc is suggesting that she try hormones again. And she's like, it's the same doctor that told me to get off of all the hormones. But now, like, you know, they pulled a lot of people off of hormones 20 years ago. And now there is a movement to properly bring bioidentical hormones back into the tissues. And it makes a huge difference. I mean, my goodness,
Yeah.
supporting the body to feel better, but you're getting to the roots of things. So when we're talking about modern healthcare and wellness, I think we need to look at our own bodies and do our own system check. How's your immune system? How's your heart? How's your eating? How are you sleeping? Are you able to rest? When you have red flags in these areas, it's an invitation to step in and do your own self care. There are people who can help with this. And at the same time, there are some practitioners that maybe should have retired and can't. Like if you're not getting a good bedside manner, if you will, you don't have to keep working with the person. It's
Mm.
okay. Like,
Well, and I feel like our medical system has been teetering on the brink of, if not collapse, like severe, struggles. And then COVID popped along and like tipped that, the last straw on the camel that just took it out. So
well, it's a
it's really
work environment for these
right.
providers.
So yeah, it hasn't quite fully recovered, I feel like, since COVID, and a lot of people left the profession, and there's shortages, and everyone's overworked, and yeah, it's challenging. So I do think, yeah, if you're not liking your healthcare team, I do think it is worth investigating if you can find someone who you more resonate with, more connect with,
Absolutely.
because I think that's hugely important. I think for getting well, if you're fighting something challenging, is having a team of people on board. Like when I went through my stuff, I ended up with, 4 or 5 different people I was working with regularly to bounce back, and that was,
Mhm.
and I still see some of them, but somewhere I was able to peel back, but I think I felt really blessed by the team of people that just fell in line for me,
Mhm.
and yeah, it was made probably all the difference. I mean, I hear some people's horror stories of not finding good care or any care even sometimes can be challenging right now. So
Mhm. So if you're in a situation where you feel like you don't have any care, or you have your appointment to see someone is, 6 months out, 4 months out, and you're feeling, you know, that's where I feel like there is space for just good old fashioned common sense. How do you take care of yourself while you're waiting to talk to someone else about how to take care of yourself? And sometimes what you're waiting for is really a short interaction for then a referral to talk to someone else about your specific disease state. And they'll know a lot about this specific disease state, but we've still like glossed over this whole conversation of how do you actually take care of yourself? You know?
there's a shortage of generalists for sure. It's become so much subspecialists that I mean, you end up going to one person for this one part of your body, and
Mm-hmm.
they're not always thinking about the rest of the body and maybe their intervention that they're going to recommend to help with your knee or your bladder or whatever is not going to be great for other parts of your body. So I think I think we have still have a need for
Mm.
a good generalist person who can oversee and be like, well, I don't know about that. What about, have you thought of it this way? And, how can we get the same benefits of the problem areas without necessarily causing so much disturbance in other parts of your body?
Mm-hmm.
But it's tough.
And the degrees that are generalists change and vary. A lot of people with MD behind their name tend to go into specialists. You see more nurse practitioners kind of stepping into the generalist role, or
PAs.
PAs doing the generalist role, or for some families, it's the chiropractor or the acupuncturist who's kind of acting, depending on the states and training, as the generalist and being like, you should go to your doctor and get that checked out. Like,
Hmm.
that's a red flag. But here, we'll take care of this day to day stuff. And so you start, who a generalist is not necessarily just an MD or a DO. You have other
Yeah.
DOs make great channelers too. There's good people out
I
there.
still would put our training up with anybody, I think.
Oh, that's right.
As a naturopath.
Position.
Because, yeah, I think it's some, we have to learn all the conventional medical options and what,
Mm-hmm.
all the medications and surgical options. And so we know sort of what their treatment things are going to be. But we also have a whole bunch of extra training in like nutrition and herbal medicine and homeopathy and hands-on body work and
I
la da da
can't
da
for
da.
I can't I'm kind of chuckling that I forgot about our own
Yeah, no,
profession.
we're here.
Yeah, we're here. I guess we're here.
Yeah.
Gosh, there's so few naturopathic physicians though. But we are here.
Was it you threw out the Flexner report? I bet a lot of people don't know what that is. Do you know? Do you want to explain
Go
it?
ahead.
Well, it was a report put together back in the 20s,
I
30s.
know,
I can't remember.
1928,
But it
1921,
was it
23.
Rockefeller who
It was
funded it?
Rockefeller who
Yeah, one of
funded
the
it.
Rockefeller family persons funded it, and they basically came to the conclusion that Western allopathic drug-based medicine and surgical medicine were the only correct way to treat a body, and so they essentially steered all the funding dollars only to a handful of these Western allopathic medical schools and basically created this whole organization to discredit any alternative
Well,
medicines.
specifically homeopathic medicine, which kind of is more
But there
about
was numerous
supporting an
naturopathic
eclectic
medical schools. There was
physicians. Yeah.
herbalists. There was, yeah, bone setters, which are kind of like chiropractors. There was a
Right.
whole series of alternative based practitioners out there, and they basically, after this report, came up with a whole strategy to discount all these other therapies and try to promote only this one Western medical allopathic tradition. And they were very successful at that. Naturopathic schools, at one point, there was, I think, over 100 in the United States back around the turn of the last century, and then
Mm-hmm.
they dwindled. I think there was one year there was zero or one,
Mm-hmm.
and then it was really down to one. Only the school in Portland, Oregon, the National
And Seattle.
Naturopathic, and then Bastyr was formed in Seattle where we train, and then now there's I believe 7 or 8 naturopathic schools in North America going. Um, and some branch campuses are popping up still too, so it's having a resurgence, and there's a bigger demand, and people are looking for these things again because I think over time people realize, yeah, no, there are some benefits of allopathic medicine. Like if you're hit by a bus, take me to the nearest emergency room for sure. But I think for long-term chronic disease management, they're not
But if you
always great.
feel like you were hip,
Right, then that's not necessarily the place you want to be always. And I think they're not great at preventative medicine, not great at chronic health.
and that like restoration after a stress season, like your body sometimes our bodies are just trying to repair after what you just went through,
hmm.
and that gets missed. You know.
Because I think I mean, there's only so many surgeries and so many drugs, and there's a lot of them, but they don't cover everything and every illness, and they're not necessarily always looking at the root cause of what's going on. Maybe you see people sometimes put on 10 different medicines when the root issue is they didn't have enough B vitamins at the beginning, or they're
Mm-hmm.
or eating in a food that they're allergic to, that's creating
Mm-hmm.
this whole inflammatory cascade, causing a whole string of problems.
I
And
wish I could say this was rare, guys. It's like so common.
so yeah, I do think the Flexner people and these early allopathic movement really was successful at driving that this is its only form. And I think at this point now they've essentially bought the media, they've bought a lot of
Well, yeah, so
the
now we're
conversation.
100 years later of essentially like a marketing pact. Like, hey, we're going to create this association, and then we're going to formalize the medical education, and then we're going to formalize, and then you have like the pharmaceutical support. The pharmaceutical support pays for the medical education of the practitioners who are going to get very, very skilled for learning which pill for these ills and which intervention and treatment. But you've stepped away from the things about encouraging the body to heal what the body's trying to do. It's we're 100 years into us. I think of it as bad marketing, but um,
Successful. So I don't know.
yeah, successful marketing.
Yeah.
But it just kind of misses it doesn't offer healing. You're trying to treat symptoms. And I think so this is why I get so excited about 2025,
Yeah.
because we are actually alive. And so I think the earth is going through changes. You hear different stuff, and I get so excited about like That's right. Shake off the things that no longer serve us.
Mm,
We have amazing tools in medicine, but the concept that doctor knows best and taking the patient out of the authority role over your own body and just ignoring the common sense stuff really gets us off course. But now people are, all of that is coming. What used to be popular 100 years ago is now coming back. I mean, people are, tweaking with their diets and they're learning about different things. They're just starting to become like citizen scientists, like explore their own situation.
mm,
They're starting to, uh, either they can't get in to see their doctor, or they don't trust them, or they're not sure about what's going on, or they do trust them but they don't have enough time to really feel like they can get the whole story. It's a frustrating process, but so people are starting to take it in their own hands.
hmm.
And taking it in their own hands, I think, is the best thing you can do for healthcare. I am so excited. People are going to, the population is just going to get healthier because there's a part of the population that's getting sicker and sicker, and people have to,
Mm.
out of desperation, start to do things. But when they start to do things, your body is right there to support you. So it's actually like, oh wait, you mean I've known how to swim this whole time? Like, yes, come get in the water. I don't know. Uh, we're in
So,
a space. I
so if
love it.
someone's not feeling like they're in an optimal health situation.
Well, what is optimal? We
Okay.
all have bad days and struggles,
True.
you know?
Where would you start with someone? Do you have a if you were
I think we're
trying to
all
make some
stressed
change?
out.
Okay.
So I think there's like a band-aid is some like stress herbs or B vitamins. Well, I can sometimes people already do that, you know what I mean? But like a very simple looking at how you rest. We are all stressed out. How do I rest? Can I rest? Is my environment for rest safe? Am I safe? I think, how am I? I would start with like, how am I? Am I okay?
Mm.
And actually, just in the moment, am I okay? Am I safe? If you're safe, yes, go on to the next. Am I sleeping safe? Am I working safe? Or I'm not safe. Okay, what is making me not safe? How can you make someone safe? You cannot heal in an unsafe zone.
Now, yeah, how many people are just living that way every day?
Well, and then
Charged.
that's taking them offline from their kind of intuition, being able to, their prayer life gets all muddled. If you can't feel safe, it's hard to like think beyond your next thought.
Mm. True.
Safety, I think, gets underrated when it comes to healthcare.
And stress herbs. Where do you like to
Oh,
go?
yeah, I like licorice. I like ashwagandha. I love a little astragalus if the stress gets into the chest. Um, Kind of that like winter stress, like, oh, the cold goes right into a bronchitis. Um, but
I like ashwagandha. That's a good herb.
ashwagandha,
It's an Indian
ashwagandha is
herb.
a great herb. And it's an Indian herb, and there's European herbs. There's herbs from all over the world, and it's like they'll have different names in different cultures, but there are groups of pockets of information of like, hey, how do we just help the human be a good human?
I remember in our first year of school, we had to pick one herb and like try it for a month. And I picked ashwagandha randomly, and I took it for a month, and I had to stop taking it because I made me so tired at 9 o'clock at night, and my eyes opened perfectly at 6 a.m., which was great. But when you're in a graduate degree program and you have a study for a test that's the next day, you can't always go to bed at 9:30 at night. But now I like that. So
It
yeah,
really enhances the circadian rhythm, and so people wake up very bright in the morning and they fall asleep hard in the evening, and it's good stuff.
there's
It's
some
an
other herbs.
adaptogen.
Yeah, other adaptogens are like the ginseng family, especially like Siberian ginseng, which is a
Mm-hmm.
Eleutherococcus. There's rhodiola. It's a good one, especially
Mm-hmm.
for women. It feels like.
But also, like, what goes up must come down. And so I think we are in a situation where we go so much that we need the art of the resting. And so the B vitamins both help rest and calm. Some of these adrenal herbs are more boosters. Ashwagandha is one that's more middle of the line. It both can help you calm down or lift up. The nutrients that help people calm down and rest well are the minerals and the magnesium and the mineral complexes and the zinc. And so when you bring together these minerals, the minerals is also what your body releases toxic exposures. When you've been exposed, you want minerals to help release these molecules. And so minerals help us rest.
Sure.
And I think the first part is to rest well. Um, that doesn't sound as exciting though. We want to go. So when you want to go, using like an adrenal support product, adrenal cortex or herbs is a good way to kind of help. Also, another thing, just to stabilize, don't underestimate the power of electrolytes and fluids. If you do a pinch of sea salt under your tongue and a glass of water, your brain will feel lifted up. Like a lot of us run around tired and boggy and all the things, and like our brains are actually dehydrated.
Mm.
Yeah, electrolytes, they're a good thing. Stretching. But I really think the number one thing though is touching, getting in touch with yourself. That's why I like exercising, but I exercise in a quiet sauna, so I'm kind of like in my own zone. But sometimes when people get,
Well, if you live in your head all the time, it helps to get into your body and
yes,
move something that can kind of bring some of the attention out of the head into your chest and your heart and your true nature a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
I think, I don't know, my father was a psychiatrist. He used to feel like he got really involved with an organization called Heart Math. And he used to feel like your true self, and most cultures historically have always thought that the seat of the soul is the heart, the
Mm-hmm.
chest, and that's really where your true nature is. It's only Western medicine have been really focused on the brain, not Western medicine, but just Western culture in general.
Mm-hmm.
In the last 100 years, it's all about the brain, the brain, the brain.
The
But
mind.
I mean, as a psychiatrist, he saw people whose brains weren't working well always. And so
Mm-hmm.
he thought the brain sometimes would sabotage us for its own selfish interests. It just was like a dopamine addiction factory, trying to seek out pleasure and avoid pain. But that isn't always necessarily the best way for long term success. You know, for searching only for short term pleasure, that can lead us into all sorts of problems like addictions and
Well, we're seeking dopamine. And
yeah.
you know, we all have our dopamine of choice of where we're seeking our dopamine. But the and that this has come up more in the like kind of wellness culture is kind of doing dopamine detox, like whatever it is for you, helping have less, let your body reset. But one of the things that gives us dopamine that does not give us withdrawal effects is exercise,
Mm.
because we have to work for it as humans. You don't like have withdrawal effects. It's
Yeah.
like all the good, none of the
So you
bad.
get some of the endorphins and enkephalins and some of
Mm-hmm.
these feel good chemicals flooding into
Mm-hmm.
your body.
You cannot um, pill your way into health. You have to figure out how to move for you. You have to figure out how to sleep and rest for you. You have to figure out how to eat for you. You can use like whole food supplementation to support, but like the super mainstream orange pill um, from the pharmacy, you can't just do those and get this amazing health. Like I
Yeah.
just they're bad news. Like you can, some people do really well in that system if they're eating like solid home cooked food, getting their rest, like life is normal. Perfect. Um, I wish them all the most amazing feelings. But for everyone else, it's like, okay, how do we put it together? You know, and so sometimes I think when people first start to look into natural medicine, they're like, oh, I don't want caffeine, I want adrenal herbs or whatever. They'll just swap. And that's kind of the miss.
There was a term in school, green allopathic medicine. Like allopathic is kind of what Western medicine, another name for that is, it was in contrast to homeopathy or homeopathic medicine. And so when you do green allopathic medicine, it's just essentially instead of like taking an antibiotic or,
Yeah, we're gonna take oregano oil, or you're not
yeah, but
gonna
it's
do
not,
the step strides.
but it's essentially the same thinking model. It's not looking at the body as a whole. It's looking at the body as a series of parts that you can intervene on. And I think that there is a different kind of philosophical model that we were trained under that was to look at the body as a whole, to look at the underlying root causes of what's going on, not just trying to use band-aids, whether and they can be natural band-aids. And those are they have their time and place, but I think ultimately if you're becoming dependent on taking even an herb for the rest of your life, then that's not really health.
Well, and if you're continuing to feel worse, if you're continuing to
Mm,
decline,
yeah,
then your band-aids aren't working. You're not putting enough attention to the foundations of your health.
absolutely.
There's the right band-aids for the right situations. And sometimes, even though people can study all day long, sometimes the person, and that's why I think we need to always have like the patient or the client empowered over their own body, because I will tell you, they'll get like an instinctual, hey, this came across, or I was reading about this. Like sometimes we don't know how God works, like sometimes there'll be just this like little nudge, and I'm like, oh, that's actually, oh, let me look that up. Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah,
That's your
you're in
match.
like a flow state, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it seems like the right information just finds you a bit.
Right.
I don't know how it
Maybe
works.
exactly. Maybe we don't know how it works, and maybe it's a lot cooler than we give it credit for.
So exercise, eating healthy, sleep,
I
you said
know, it's boring.
hydration,
Hydration. Clean
feeling
filtered water, not
safe
just tap
in your
water.
environment, then having a
Hmm.
connection with like-minded individuals, a community of support, people you can interact with. I know these are boring things that are, but they really are what it comes down to.
We're
And
just
that's,
so human.
I know, we want to think we're beyond all that.
I'm way cooler than that.
But yeah, it really comes back. I mean, what's been right for humans for thousands of years is still pretty much the same stuff, unfortunately.
But I'm not sure we even realize we're human. Like we're
Yeah,
just
we're
kind of
trying to
like
get
go, 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 go,
post-human,
go. Yeah. Like
cybernetic, or futuristic.
it's coming. But
We're
now I
trying.
feel like in 2025, we need to embrace like the empowered human.
Mm.
Like,
That
man.
means going back to 1825. No, not that far.
That far. Well, no, because now we have different understandings too. So, people, there have been citizens that have brought up the threats here of like our electrical environment, Wi-Fi, EMF, this kind of thing. Okay. But then in that awareness, there's these other supportive things. There's these other devices like Dan's pendants with essential energy. There's other devices to help hold that structured light. Like we're learning more. I think
Mhm.
in 1825, we didn't quite understand some of these principles that came from heart math, like the interconnectedness of, and like biophysics and quantum physics, and understanding how we're light
Mhm.
and how we have these different frequency shifts that happen. And the science about being alive is very cool. So it's not quite 1820,
No,
but it's 2025.
exactly.
We need all the pieces of wisdom together and let them integrate. And also, I think we need to hold space for people to live their own life.
Mm.
You can't tell someone else how to do it. You can show, you can try, you can give suggestions, but ultimately, it's up to the person. Like, I don't know if my choice is right for someone else.
Yeah, it most likely is not.
I mean, just I don't know. I think I get excited about the idea of more like empowered humans, like awakened, aware humans that are vibrating at higher frequencies, I guess is one way to say it. We're more vital, and then interconnected, and then coming together to do good things for the planet. Yes, very Pollyanna over here. But it's better than just looking at all the crap. I don't have a lot of time for that. I just
No, and I think
it
keep your
doesn't
eyes
add
on
to
that.
anything,
Keep
you
yeah,
know?
keep that. Set these ultimate lofty goals that aren't that are actually achievable. You can check a lot of those boxes if
Yeah,
you
I
really work
think
toward
the
it.
goal of really knowing yourself and understanding and knowing the food that works for you and the food that doesn't, and knowing the environments that work for you and the environments that don't, and the relationships and friendships that work for you and the friendships that don't, and the media that works for you and the media that doesn't, and being able to really pick and choose and hand select what you consume as a human being, that is healthcare. That is wellness. You're actually in charge of choosing your environment and your input through your day.
Mm.
Maybe we are just cars. I want the nice interior. I want the leather seats, and I want all the extra airbags, and I want to put good fuel.
And you got to vacuum it regularly.
Absolutely. Not working so hard to be in a stinky car.
Especially if you got kids. That's another story.
Mm-hmm. Don't buy black interior.
Next time. Anyways. Well, any other final
That's my
thoughts?
wish for everyone for 2025: health, wealth, happiness.
I love it. Let's do it. Let's work toward it. Lots of goals.
It's
All right.
already here.
It is here. You just got to step into it. So, all right. Well, thanks for
Or
watching.
be thankful.
We'll see you next time, everyone. Have a good, you got a good year. Take care.
Bye.